ਘਰ ਇੱਕ ਐਸੀ ਥਾਂ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਹਰ ਕੋਈ ਆਪਣੀ ਨਿੱਜੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਦੇ ਸੁਨਹਿਰੀ ਪਲ ਯਾਦ ਰੱਖਦਾ ਹੈ। ਉਹ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਉਹ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਪਿਆਰ ਭਰਿਆ ਜੀਵਨ ਬਤੀਤ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਇਹ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਹੀ ਪੂਰੀਆਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਜਦ ਕਿਸੇ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਨੂੰ ਸਜੇ ਹੋਏ ਘਰ 'ਚ ਬਦਲਿਆ ਜਾਵੇ। ਨਵੇਂ ਘਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਫਰੇਮਿੰਗ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਫਿਨਿਸ਼ਿੰਗ ਤੱਕ, ਡ੍ਰੇਪਰੀ, ਪੇਂਟਿੰਗਸ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਡੈਕੋਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਅਸੈਸਰੀਜ਼ ਤੱਕ, ਤੁਸੀਂ SK ਹੋਮ ਡਿਜ਼ਾਈਨਸ ਦੀਆਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਫੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਸਰਵਿਸਿਜ਼ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਸੁਪਨਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਹਕੀਕਤ 'ਚ ਬਦਲ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਕੰਟੈਕਟ ਕਰੋ ਸੰਦੀਪ ਕੌਰ 6048259295।
Welcome to this episode of the Harpreet Singh Show. In today's segment, we're going to learn something about Buddhism because every religion teaches us some different practices, and by practicing those, the basic idea is to become better human beings. What is Buddhism all about? And especially, there are various forms of Buddhism, and one is called Nichiren Buddhism. What it is, we learn from Pooja Ruprell and Arpana Das Arora. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Pooja, if you could let us know a brief history about Buddhism as such, and also the practice, what you do in Nichiren Buddhism.
So Buddhism originated from Shakyamuni Buddha, as he's also called Siddhartha or Gautama Buddha. This was 2000 years back in the Indian subcontinent.
Right.
And he set out from his royal palace seeking an answer to the four sufferings of life, as he called them, which was birth, aging, sickness, and death. He traveled quite a lot and finally understood the true nature of his life.
Right.
And started, he was called then the Buddha or the awakened one.
Right.
And after his passing away, it spread quite a lot, but many different schools of Buddhism sprung up.
Okay.
And all his teachings were compiled as sutras or texts.
Right.
And somewhere in between, it got lost. Until the 13th century in Japan, there was a priest by the name of Nichiren Daishonin,
Okay.
who researched all of those Buddhist texts and came to the conclusion that the Lotus Sutra is the ultimate teaching of the Buddha.
Okay.
It reflects his heart exactly as he would have wanted it to. And the Lotus Sutra was the teaching that he taught in the last 8 years of his life.
Okay.
And at that point, he had told his followers that disregard everything else that I have spoken about prior to this. This is my ultimate teaching.
Right.
So, and Nichiren Daishonin then grasped the title of the Lotus Sutra, which is Myoho Renge Kyo, and started to chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. In 1930, in Japan again, there was a gentleman by the name of Sunesaburo Makiguchi,
Okay.
a teacher, who formed an organization called Soka Gakkai, which means value creation.
Okay.
And he started to propagate this Buddhism, the
Right.
Nichiren Buddhism. In the 1970s, the Soka Gakkai International was formed, and Buddhism was taken to many different countries. And today we have over 12 million practitioners in close to 200 countries chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo and practicing Nichiren Buddhism.
Right. So this is one sect of Buddhism, if I may say, that is the philosophy a bit different, like you said about the sutras, and the Lotus Sutra was the major one which the founder of this particular form of Buddhism started chanting. So is there any major difference between the different sects, or it's just like one of the sutras has been picked and that's been further propagated?
There is differences. Some sects talk about you can be happy after you die.
Okay.
Some of them talk about priests and the empowering the priest,
Right.
and talk about worshipping God. Buddha is a god,
Right.
but Nichiren Buddhism is we don't do any idol worship,
Okay.
and believes in the empowerment of each single human being. So the
Okay.
Lotus Sutra, the reason Nichiren Daishonin propagated the Lotus Sutra was because it believes in the inherent
Okay.
potential of every single human being.
Okay, wonderful. We'll discuss in details about this. So, Aparna, if you could tell us a little bit, how did you get attracted towards this form of Buddhism?
So when I got introduced, which wasn't too far off, it was just 5 years back, when I got introduced, I was fascinated with the kind of people I encountered in this Buddhism.
Okay.
They were all so happy, so jovial, and not that they were not going through any kind of struggle. They all had some kind of an obstacle and suffering, and we all do as human beings. We all have these kind of sufferings. We cannot escape that, but they were so happy. So that was one thing that was really fascinating for me. And then another thing that I saw that all practitioners did was they were praying and chanting for each other.
Okay.
According to me, since I was brought up just thinking, my notion was that we all just pray for each other, our parents, maybe our family and friends and people whom we know. But here, even strangers were coming into my house and they were just chanting and praying for my happiness. So, and they were in themselves creating value in their own lives, and they were being so jovial and happy because of this. So I was completely fascinated. Plus, I was seeing a lot of young people being attracted to this practice.
Okay.
It was pure logic. When I studied more and more of this, what I saw was there was a lot of cause and effect talk that they were talking of, and pure logic and science being spoken of. So a lot of young people were also into this. And I had to practice. I had to try this as to see, just to see what transformation it can bring into my life.
Right. So of course you were attracted by this fascination that other people are praying for each other and everyone is happy. But since the past 5 years, as you said, you have been practicing this. What impact has it had on your life?
Oh, tremendous. I can't even begin to tell you. It was as if before I was not chanting, it was as if my life was black and white.
Okay.
And now it's got color. So it's more like a color TV right now. It's got real quality of life right now. And I'll give my own personal experiences, not very detailed, but just to begin with, before I started practicing, I used to travel for a job, which I had in downtown, and I had to go for an hour and a half. I had to travel and take sky trains and buses, and I was getting more and more comfortable with that, and because of that I was not learning to drive. I was overworked, underpaid, but I was thinking that's life. But as soon as I started chanting, it was as if my life was going through all green signals, and immediately I landed up with a job which is now just 3 minutes away from home.
Okay.
And because I was so close to home, I had to visit different sites in this job. And I had to learn to drive. I just could not go from, busing. I had given up driving personally because of an accident that had happened, and because of that, my confidence had been shaken out.
Right.
But as soon as I started chanting, I could see that courage from within me came up, and I became fearless, and I was able to drive.
Okay.
The job was value creating that I received. It was, of course, more pay and closer to home with learning to drive. Yeah, so these were some of the amazing benefits I saw. And then just being an immigrant into the country, I was also so lonely, chanting for more company, more people. I did not ever in my wildest dream expect my family to come here, because they were all very well settled there, my parents and my cousins and brother and everyone. But today, in 5 years, they're all here. Okay. And I don't know how that happened. They were completely very well settled, but now they're all here surrounding me.
Right, so you believe it's because of that chanting,
I
what you're
totally
talking
believe,
about.
and they are chanting too now, now that they've come. So something kind of brought them here, some mystic thing brought them here. They're all practicing now. I have a good quality of life, surrounded with genuine good people, well-wishers, having a good job. And I'm not saying that I don't have obstacles. I still do come across obstacles and sufferings. That's a part of life. It's just how we look at life now. It's so
that
different.
has changed, that perspective has changed.
Yes, completely.
We'll talk about this also. So Pooja, tell us how personally, like Arpana ji has told us, how did you get attracted, and also how has it impacted you now?
I think like most people, I sought spirituality because I was going through a tough phase in my life. I had been through a severe accident. I was on bed, simultaneously postnatal depression. So it was really the worst time in my life. And somebody took me for a Buddhist meeting. And just hearing them chant together, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, I had no idea what it was, never heard about it. But just hearing them chant those words as a group, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, something shifted within me. And I came home and I really had this desire to chant, and I started to chant.
So from the chanting you got attracted, and how it brought change in your life, we'll talk of this after this short break.
ਕਾਰ ਐਕਸੀਡੈਂਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੱਗੀਆਂ ਸੱਟਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਤਬਾਹ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੀਆਂ। ਫਿਰ ਵੀ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿਉਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਮਝਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਬਗੈਰ ਕਿਸੇ ਵਕੀਲ ਤੋਂ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਖਰਚੇ ਵੀ ਸੰਭਾਲ ਲਓਗੇ, ਸੱਟਾਂ ਦਾ ਇਲਾਜ ਵੀ ਕਰਾ ਲਓਗੇ ਤੇ ICBC ਤੋਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਹੱਕ ਦੇ ਪੈਸੇ ਵੀ ਲੈ ਲਓਗੇ। ਮੇਰੀ ਗੱਲ ਸੁਣੋ, ਕਾਰ ਐਕਸੀਡੈਂਟ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਕਈ ਸਵਾਲ ਉੱਠਦੇ ਆ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਸਵਾਲਾਂ ਦਾ ਜਵਾਬ ਕੌਣ ਦੇਊਗਾ? ਧਾਮੀ ਨਾਰੰਗ ਐਂਡ ਕੰਪਨੀ। ਅੱਜ ਹੀ ਫੋਨ ਕਰੋ 604-864-6131।
Once again, welcome back to the program. In today's segment, we are talking about what is Buddhism, the different forms of Buddhism, and especially we are focusing on Nichiren Buddhism. Before the break, Pooja Ruprell and Arpana Das Arora talked to us about why they got attracted and what fascinated them and why they are practicing this. Let's continue with the discussion. So before the break, Ruprell, you were telling me that you got attracted because you were in a trauma and after chanting, things started changing. But what is this chant? You have used this chant a few times during this talk. So tell us a little bit about what is this chant, and just by chanting, do things change?
So the chant is Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. It means, simply means, I dedicate myself to the law of cause and effect.
Okay.
And just, I won't say that simply by chanting things change. It depends on how we chant.
Right.
So somebody could be chanting for 20 years and nothing changes in their life. So a lot has to do with the person who is chanting.
Right.
We lend power to it through our own attitude.
Okay.
And there are many, many aspects to what we do. We chant, of course, we chant collectively, we pray in the morning, we pray in the evening, we get together in groups and we study more. We try to contribute, as Arpana already mentioned, we pray for one another, we also try to contribute to the society in whatever little way we can.
Right.
I think the crux of it is that we want a happy world, we want a peaceful world, and peace begins with me, happiness begins with me.
Right.
So what is it that I can do to find that happiness, and only when I have found it can I now start reaching out to somebody else and helping them be happy, and the chain goes.
Right. So Pooja, just tell us that, like for example, if anyone who is not a Buddhist, he or she wants to chant this hymn, what you are saying, so can they just chant, or they'll have to convert to Buddhism for that?
I'm a Hindu by birth, and I'm still a Hindu.
Right.
Nothing can change that. I have never been asked to change it.
Right.
So I follow Buddhism more as a way of life. And from when I was young, I loved going to the temple, I loved going to church, I went to the Gurdwara,
Right.
and I found peace in Buddhism.
Right.
So there is no mandatory, no conversion, none of that.
Right. So it's your own personal belief, what you want to do, but along with that, you can just add on to this, and this gives you peace.
मैं हर संडे को मंदिर ले जाती हूँ अपने बच्चों को.
Right. Okay. अच्छा, आप बताइए जी, you tell us that how long do you chant basically, and again this chanting, is it at a specified time or any time you can just keep on chanting it?
Any time is good. I don't think the question about kitni der chant karna chahiye, that's not the point. The point is that we should be consistent.
Right.
Subah and Sham, morning and evening, is a good idea, good practice to chant and have some quality daimoku, 5, 10, 15 minutes. Jitna dil kare, jitna dil se awaaz aaye, utni chant kariye.
Right.
Sometimes I'm at a stage of my life that there is a challenging situation and my life calls for 1 hour and I do it. But it's perfectly okay to do 5-10 minutes. The point is to be consistent morning and evening.
Aparna ji mentioned that youngsters are also getting attracted to this. Tell us a little bit that it started in Japan, as you said, but now that it is in Canada, you are practicing it over here. Is it spread quite far now, or is it just confined to a few countries?
It's almost 200 countries. So I started practicing in India 15 years back. That's where I started practicing, and when we moved to Canada, this was in 2006, the SGI was already existing here.
Right. So Pooja, like you have said, it's I understand the concept of this slogan, what you have said, but if you have to sum it up, basically what is it? What are we getting by chanting it? If you could just sum it up, and also if someone wants more information, where can they get it?
By chanting, we are tapping into the infinite potential of our lives. So we are tapping into the wisdom, the vitality, the strength, the courage, the compassion within us, and helping it to manifest in our interactions with people in our lives. And if people want to contact the SGI, and if they want to know more, the SGI Cultural Center is at 8401 Cambie. We host meetings once a week, every Wednesday. New members are welcome to walk in. They can just ask questions, interact with other members, and chant a bit.
And it's free of cost.
Absolutely free of cost.
And we have a website, sgicanada.org.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, and best wishes.
Thank you.
Thank you. सो अज जो असीं गलबात की एक बुद्धिज़म जिहड़ी हैगी उस दे बारे साढ़े आए हुए मेहमान ने सानू दस्सिया नेचुरल बुद्धिज़म जो है एक मंत्रा जो है इसनूं चैंट करते हैं बार बार उसनूं दोहराते हैं तो ये नहीं कि किसी एक सीमित समय के लिए जो मर्जी जो दिल करता है ये किया जा सकता है तो ये नाल इन्होंने कहा कि मनोबल जो है वो बेहतर होंदा है तो तुसीं अपनी जिहड़ियां एनर्जीज़ ने जिहड़ियां छुपियां हुई एनर्जीज़ ने उन्होंने टैप कर सकते हो ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਪ੍ਰੇਰਿਤ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਹੋਏ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਈ ਰੋਕ ਟੋਕ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ। ਇਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਕੋਈ ਇੱਕ ਦੂਸਰੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਵੀ ਪ੍ਰਾਰਥਨਾ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ, ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਨਾਲ ਇੱਕ ਦੂਸਰੇ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਦਾ ਹੈ, ਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਬੜਾ ਜੋਵੀਅਲ ਅਤੇ ਵਧੀਆ ਐਟਮੋਸਫੇਅਰ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਇਨਵਾਇਰਮੈਂਟ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧੀਆ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੌਜਵਾਨ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਆਕਰਸ਼ਿਤ ਹੋ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ, ਤੇ ਇਹ ਹੁਣ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਦੇ 200 ਦੇਸ਼ਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਨੇਚਰ ਇਨ ਬੁੱਧਿਜ਼ਮ ਜੋ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਫੋਲੋ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ। ਤੇ ਫਾਈਨਲੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਹਰ ਹਫਤੇ ਇਹ ਇੱਕ ਮੀਟਿੰਗ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਜਿਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਜੇਕਰ ਹੋਰ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲੈਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਇਹ ਕੇਂਬੀ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਜੋ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਵੈਬਸਾਈਟ ਜੋ ਸਕਰੀਨ ਤੇ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਗਈ ਹੈ ਉੱਥੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ, ਤੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਆਪ ਵੇਖ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਬੇਸਿਕ ਐਮਫਸਿਸ ਕਿਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਤੇ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ।